What's going back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. This is your Sunday social. We've got a big panel on today. We're going to be discussing the game in full. We're going to be talking about transfer news with Jadon Sancho and Mctominay edging closer to a move. Potentially Awate, if we can be asked if it's going to happen this week or next week, and no one even knows. No one has a fucking clue, let's be honest. So we'll touch on that towards the end, but predominantly, lads, I want to get into the game because I do think there are a lot of talking points. Chivy, I'll go to you first. Now, you seemed pretty confident before the game. Afterwards, how do you feel now?
Obviously, it's a disappointing result, but I'm not losing my shit. It's just one game. And we've come a long way. And I think, yeah, I can see a lot of people losing their shit over the whole thing. But there's lessons to be learned. I think football is cruel, man. Like, it's cruel. Like, especially the goal that Xerxes. I mean, there was nothing you could do about it, you know. And it's one of them ones where if that had stood, or if for some reason, you know, if it went in and it wasn't offside, you know, I think there would have been, you know, a different outcome to the game because goals change games.
Yep.
Now, what we saw at the back, the defense, you know, with the second goal that Brighton scored, like that happens. That happens. Like every defense has its weaknesses at some point or whatever, no matter how good it is. So I think, have we lost Nick?
Oh, he's back.
Just frozen, sorry. Go on.
All right, yeah. So it was one of those things that, you know, it came back to bite us in the end. But I'm not too disheartened. I mean, this obviously if Ten Hag is different, like if he can learn from the mistakes that he made today, or if he can learn from from everything that he saw today, well, not today, yesterday. I think we can come back on because, well, the reason why I was so confident was because I feel like we're picking up from where we left off, not last season, but the season before, in terms of how we set up, how there's a little bit more, we're a little bit more conservative at the back, where we've got two midfielders. And it's not just that one holding midfielders and the two eights pushing forward. So I think if we can build on, you know, the way we set up to play, I think we can, you know, get back to at least challenging for, you know, third or fourth place. You know, you could see the combinations. There were times when there were combinations in the passes. We're bringing the ball up really well from back to, you know, from the defense to attack. It's just when it gets into the final third, that's where we're having a lot of problems. So yeah, it was disappointing, really disappointing. But and it was a bit bittersweet when Pedro scored that goal because I have him in my fantasy squad. So I was like, yeah, we lost, but then
Softener, bit of a softener.
Yeah, but you know, I can see a lot of people going crazy and all the memes, and you know, all that stuff doesn't bother me really, to be fair.
There does seem to be some forms of repetitive behaviour in there, though. You think about the back post defending, which we saw, I think it's like Copenhagen, West Ham at times, last season. Rashford's inconsistencies yet again continuing. Where are you on a scale of 1 to panic? And whilst you do that, I'm just going to change my camera again because it's been annoying.
I'm same as Chivy. I'm not worried. Like it's not bothering me. Obviously everybody on Twitter and our comments is losing their minds, going Eric Ten Hag out, Trashford, blah blah blah, all the sort of same emotional, reactional bullshit that we get anytime we lose a game. But yeah, I'm quite relaxed. Obviously, very disappointed in the man marking or the lack thereof. On that last goal at 95th minute, like you cannot switch off in a Premier League game ever. Like you just cannot. Like it's just not acceptable. And then when you look at it, like it's on the thumbnail, there's 4 defenders up here on the near post, and there's 2 unmarked Brighton players at the back post, which is just, as a Premier League side, it's just unacceptable. You cannot do that, and that's not down to the manager. That's not down to coaching. That's due to personal responsibility of players going, "Where's my man?" and having a hold of them and knowing where they are and not just rushing towards the ball, which is, it happens in games, unfortunately. I've seen a lot of people say about the substitutions as well, but again, I agree with the substitutions. We needed a goal. We chucked on every goal threat we had. We chucked on Xerxes, we chucked on Garnacho, we chucked on Mctominay. They're the goal threats. So he was trying to win the game. Now, I know some people would disagree with taking Bruno off, but it was a choice between him, Mainu, and Casemiro. And I think if you take Casemiro off, that hole that was in the midfield already just gets massive because you know where Scott McTominay is going. And then you're leaving Kobbie Mainu exposed by himself to do that, which I think is unfair. Maybe you take Mainu off. Maybe you do that. Maybe that was an option. I think it was a choice between Mainu and Bruno. They were the two things he wanted to. He probably would have taken off. Obviously, he took Bruno off, and the gamble didn't pay off, which happens in football with substitutions. It happens. We're 2 games in. We've won a game. We've unfortunately lost due to unlucky decision on an offside goal, which, again, any other day of the week, if Xerxes wasn't there and he wasn't bursting into 6-yard box, we'd be begging, where the fuck is he? Why is he not running into that 6-yard box? It's like, you can't win either way, and it's just an unlucky thing. But then, yeah, the defensive worry to switching off, that's unacceptable, and that's essentially what cost us the game. Without that, I think we probably would have gone on to win that game, or if not, got a point. I just think that switch off is what cost us.
Shreyas, where's your head at with that Bruno sub? Because it seems to be a lot of controversy online about that. Like, why take off your best creator in the last 10 minutes to bring on McTominay? Did you get the thought process behind that?
Look, it was a gamble from Ten Hag's perspective as well. It was a gamble. He needed a goal. And if you look at that bench, the person who probably, is your best bet to actually get a goal in those dying moments of the game is Scott McTominay. The thing is, if we would have taken Casemiro off, if we would have taken Mainu off, and we would have still ended up with like one scoreline or a loss, wouldn't have done any favors. Or I just really think even if Bruno was on the pitch, it just didn't, and we would have subbed off Casemiro or Mainu. In that second half, it genuinely didn't look like we actually had some sort of shape or rhythm to our midfield. I mean, when we were doing the watch along, we saw Casemiro practically playing as a 10 whenever we, were moving with the ball forward. Mainu was so far outside alongside Mazraoui, or at times with Dalot, that midfield that had a hole in it, it just got amplified. And players like João Pedro, players like Mitoma, and when Enciso came on as well, they're very good with their attacking transitions. Players keep switching in and out, around those sort of positions as a number 9, as a 10, as a winger. So it creates a lot of issues for any defense that come up against them. I think overall, I think there were areas of the game that genuinely we worked on. I think pressing, I think in the first half, we were by a mile, we were the better team. We disrupted Brighton's rhythm a lot of times. They made a lot of mistakes, which we were able to capitalize on as well when they were trying to play out from the back. I think we were genuinely a bit unlucky. And I just think that, it will take some time for us, to get into rhythm with Xerxes and with Mount, and possibly you can even say to find the right balance with the squad. Because I genuinely think when Mount and Bruno were both on the pitch, we looked a far better team in comparison, when we were playing in the second half. Because at least in that first half, Casemiro and Mainu looked a lot more comfortable in that midfield. When Mount went off, it just looked like, they were a lot more open whenever we were off the ball. And even when we were moving the ball forward, we were just not able to, maintain possession on the ball. So I think there are definitely areas to work on. But I think this squad actually needed this sort of a wake-up call as well. Maybe, this can actually, help wake them up. And you could even say, it is possibly the best time to actually have a Manchester United Liverpool game, because players are going to be at it. I'm sure that, players like Lisandro, De Ligt, and a lot of these players in the dressing room would be raring to go, with absolute momentum and absolute morale in that game. So, maybe, this sort of fixture and this sort of loss was very much important for this team to take that leap to that another level.
The issue I have with this setup is it feels like every time we get the ball, it's vertical attacks as soon as possible. There's no one dictating the tempo, controlling the rhythm. It's just all one way carnage and just no stopping. I agree the press is a lot better. It's a lot more connected. We look more efficient in it. But at times it's like an absolute whirlwind, and we're creating a tornado when we don't need to. Sometimes you just need to, I think Paul Scholes said it in the fan debate, sometimes just get your foot on the ball, control it a bit, see the game out. And I think that's an issue that we have. In the last 10 minutes of a game, you can go back and look at 10, 15, 20 games where we're in the lead and we concede and we end up drawing the game or losing it because the focus just is not right at all. Anthony yesterday came on, no excuse whatsoever, you look at the second goal that he needs to close him down a lot quicker. He's been on the pitch for a couple of minutes. Just little finer details like that. Concentration is one of the biggest issues with this team. And I think playing the system that we do doesn't help that. And certain players don't suit that system. Your Maguires, your Casemiros. But like, especially towards the end of the game with the tiring, it seems to affect him. And I don't know. I'm a bit negative about the game, but maybe I'm being a bit emotional and reactionary about it. I'm a bit pissed off.
I think both the goals were quite stupid to concede, especially the first one. I think the defense was just caught napping.
Yeah, Maguire's
They just need to clear it.
commanding
They
everyone else in
genuinely just
front
need
of
to
him,
clear it.
and he's
When you
he's not even focused on his own position.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
they allowed the ball to float out, and then Mctominay is just in the right area at the right time, and it's a very easy tap in. If they would have just cleared it out, that goal would have never happened.
One of the...
Sorry, Nick. I just wanted to touch on that defense thing. The one issue I do have, and I think is weird. It's like, obviously, I get the idea that Maguire should have kept his place because he played well against Fulham. Like, he deserved his spot. However, he clearly wants De Ligt as his first choice centre back. Like, he wants him to play. And then when you towards the end of a game, and when you like sit in deeper and you're trying to figure out and get that counter win and sort of like snatch the game, I don't understand bringing Maguire off for De Ligt, because De Ligt's a more open, expansive player. He's a more open, expansive, and then we're changing centre backs again. I was just like, I don't. That substitution didn't make sense to me. Like, Maguire is the better guy to keep on when you're trying to close a game out or you're trying to snatch something. I think De Ligt is the guy you start with, and then you bring on Maguire towards the end if you want to shut a game out. But I understand the logic of, like, he played well in the Fulham game. Like, I understand that, but like, for me, that was a bit of a weird defensive like change. I don't understand that one.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, unless Maguire had some sort of injury,
Maybe.
or I don't know what it was, but I don't know. To me, it felt like he was just trying to appease De Ligt and then just bring him on, sort of thing, because he'd been warming up way earlier from like the start when Garnacho was warming up. De Ligt was already
pretty
warming
much
up.
at the start of the second half itself.
Yeah. So it felt like he was just going to bring him up just to kind of like appease him. But I think the manager has to get to a point where he has to make some bold decisions and think about the team first. I was actually quite pleased with the substitutions when it came to like Rashford and Bruno coming off, because I don't think you have to. Rashford wasn't performing well at all. Bruno Fernandes was running. Here's the thing about Bruno, like you know, all these people who look like they're doing a lot of stuff but aren't really doing stuff sometimes. That's what it kind of felt like to me. Like, just because you're running up and down constantly and chasing and doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually doing something. And when McTominay came on, Anthony floated that ball in. Do you remember that strike that McTominay did? Like,
with a
clean
right foot,
strike.
a right foot as well from
Right,
Anthony.
clean.
Like,
yeah, exactly. And McTominay had like a clean, like, he's a goal threat. If you bring him on and you're bringing him on further up the pitch, I have no problem with that whatsoever. But then when you're chasing, when you're chasing a goal, yes, that's the kind of person you bring on. And Bruno also has to get to the point where he has to understand that his position, there's nobody safe on the pitch. Like, if you're not performing, then you have to, the manager has to, assert his authority. And if you're not performing, you get taken off. And I didn't see anything really, coming off. But then again, it was a gamble. It was a gamble, and it was a gamble. That you had to take. Yeah.
I think that is one point. And I think at times Bruno was just trying a bit too hard. Like, there were areas where he could have just simplified his game a lot more. He was going with outside of the boot shots, Trivelas, for no reason altogether. He could have just played in Xerxes in a couple of moments, could have just played in Mount in a couple of moments. And I think there is still one big area that we are actually, we've kept that weakness from last season itself, and that's defending and actually, scoring of set pieces as well. I think when any team that has a set piece against us, we look very, very uncomfortable. And even Onana looks very, very uncomfortable as well whenever he's trying to fit in a wall. And I think in the last game, it's in this Brighton game itself, I think Billy Gilmore was taking a set piece as well. It just didn't look like the goalkeeper had the confidence within the sort of setup that was ahead of him. And every single time, even when we got a set piece in a promising area, I remember Ahmad had a set piece as well. Just those fine margins of 2 or 3 more centimeters, and Casemiro would have got headed in a goal.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying about the Bruno sub, but if if Arteta would have done that with Ødegaard and brought on just like a fucking, I don't know, gambled it and it wouldn't have happened, the same criticism would have been there. Bruno Fernandes is the most creative player in the Premier League when it's 1-1 and you need someone to do something. He might have had a poor game. He might have been flat. We need something to create something in those integral areas when you have wingers you can run in behind on transitions, because it was a very transitional game. He is the perfect player. He's the one you would write first on the list. Bringing McTominay
In the
on,
Premier League.
yeah, number one player, creates the most chances. Metrics don't lie. He creates the most chances out of anyone in the Premier League. That's facts.
I don't know.
That's a fact. You can't even disagree with that. It's a fact.
No. So what's the chance creation? I just need to understand this. I don't know what is.
For example, on the half turn, which
Yeah.
we've seen him do so many times in the halfway line, you have a winger, he puts it on a 2 pence for him in behind Rashford or Garnacho, whatever it is. That's a chance creation. He makes things happen. Is McTominay going to do that? No. Or is McTominay more likely off a set piece or crashing into the box, timing his run? That's what's going to happen. You nullify the creativity. We took off Mainu, we took off Bruno. So who's going to supply the chances for McTominay?
He was hoping.
I see what you're saying.
He was hoping Garnacho and Anthony were going to do that, and Anthony did. To be fair, like Chewy said, he created an opportunity straight away for McTominay, and he should have put it in the back of the net, but obviously didn't do that. He was blocked, and then I think there was somebody else who followed up with it. So he did the gamble worked for that first instance, and then obviously for the rest of the game it didn't. But you saw what he was trying to do. Now, whether you disagree with the substitutions or not is a matter of opinion and stuff. And obviously, gambles are 50-50 at best of times. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. If you pull it off, you look like a fucking genius. If you don't, you look like an idiot. And that's just the way it is.
Just correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't McTominay the one who saved us a lot of points last season?
Yeah.
Against Brentford, he came in at the end.
Yeah.
So many times. What game was it?
Brentford, Villa as well. He came on and scored a header and got
Loads. Even Xerxes' goal against Fulham, it was if Xerxes didn't get it, McTominay was right there to get it. So I kind of understand where he's coming from with the substitutions and that. But I mean, it's up to. I mean, if you're, I don't care if you're like performing, maybe you have all the chance creation metrics or whatever, but if we can't see it on the pitch, if the manager doesn't see this and he feels he has to make a change, then I think he's right to. I think so.
I understand the motion behind it, and he is a gambler, and we know Nazis is coming. He will just make a decision if he feels it's the right thing for the team. But again, that's very divisive. We've been going on about that for ages. One of the biggest concerning metrics, Sam, is the chances. So Man United have missed the most big chances in the Premier League so far in 2 games. It's 6 big chances that we've missed. Mm-hmm. This feels like it's going to be a recurring issue all season, doesn't it?
I'm not too worried yet. Like we said, it's 2 games in. So if again, I think I said this after the Fulham game. If we're in game week 10 and this is still happening, then I think start to panic. Obviously sharpness. I can't remember which player it was. I think it might have been Rooney. He said it took him like 5-6 games before he got his sharpness back into his legs. And with these players, have played a lot of football. Quite a lot of them like been at a tournament. They played all season. Last season, like people like Garnacho and mainly Bruno played far too many games. Like it's a ridiculous amount of games, and they've only had 2-3 weeks off, and they were probably training during then as well. Because if you take 2-3 weeks off and do nothing, it takes even longer to come back. So I think that's a factor. So I'm not too worried yet, but obviously, you need to be finishing your opportunities. And there was quite a few chances Bruno should have put away against Fulham. There's quite a few opportunities we should have put away against Brighton. Obviously, we were unlucky with the goal with Xerxes and Garnacho. I think Rashford, the thing with Rashford that really is getting to me at the minute, besides the finishing, which I think hopefully will come in time, his timing with offsides and stuff like that. That is really doing my head in. Like, he needs to sort this out. It's either him with his timing, with making his run, or the pass is not coming quick enough. And whoever's supplying it, they need to figure that out, because sometimes it's the pass that they're delaying it too far and he's already offside, or he's making his run far too early when the ball's released. That needs to be worked on, because the amount of times he was in behind against Brighton, it was there all day, every day, because they were pushing up. It was there all day, and he was just mistiming it every single time. And he was offside about 4 or 5 times, I think, in a row. And it just, that started getting
This is a 27-year-old player that we're talking about.
He should have, he should have this season, his leash should be mega short. He should
Yeah.
not get the freedom.
Already?
Yeah,
Just like,
he should not get the freedom that he got last season, where he got to play 15 games and just didn't
In a row,
change
yeah.
and just was not dropped at any point. That needs to change. The manager needs to make that decision quicker and sooner. Like 4 or 5 games, if he's still doing this, he needs to go. He needs to get off. Done. You
His
can't
body
be running.
language doesn't look
Yeah.
right at all.
You can't
Whenever
be
he's on the
running him.
pitch, his body language is very negative. Whenever
can't
you look
be.
at him, like if you compare it to Ahmad as well, Ahmad is not, to be very honest, Ahmad is not having a good time at that right wing as well. If you look at his overall game for the entire 90, but at least his body language looks positive. He's still, even if he loses out on the ball in 3 or 4 duels, still at the 5th time, he looks very much charged up. He looks very, very
And he
positive
made a
whenever
goal
he's moving the ball
as
forward.
well.
Yeah. Even though he had a very terrible half, I would say, in the first half, he had a very difficult time coming up against their fullback, whoever it was, Hinchelwood, I think, on that left-hand side. But Rashford just didn't look right. And through, even in last season, I saw it as well. If Rashford doesn't have a good first 45 minutes, he struggles the entire game. He just doesn't get going at all. And right now, I think Garnacho is looking like the most, sparky winger. Because whenever he is coming on, he brings more energy. He does a lot of work as well. And I think even while pressing as well, I can feel Garnacho's presence a lot more when he's on the pitch in comparison to Rashford's.
Sorry, go on. Yeah.
No, go for it.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on what Sher said, because like Rashford, I think he just looks like he doesn't have the hunger. Like he's kind of lost that hunger in him. He's trying to be professional. I can tell that he's trying to be professional. And I saw him a few times actually chase. There was one ball that he chased all the way back, which was quite impressive. And he chased it back to double up on whoever it was had the ball. I think it was Minter. And I can tell he's trying to be professional, but then it's just like he's lost that bit of hunger. And I think based on his performance today, I don't think he warrants a start in the next game, whoever it is. But yeah, I was just going to add on what Sher was saying. You were about to ask something.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Brighton. I mean, I'll get into the comments shortly, people. Sorry, I know we've been going for like 20 minutes, not even gone to the comments yet. I'll get into your opinions and stuff. But Rashford, for me, it just feels like the ever-long conversation that we never stop having about him. Like, the first season, great. That was, we're in the 3rd season now of Erik ten Hag. How long can you have credit in the bank before, like, he keeps referencing these things, and he referenced things from, like, last season and pre-season, and you're like, that makes it means nothing this season. It's supposed to be a new era, a new dawn that you're describing with Ineos coming in and blah blah blah, and it's like you're still talking about Rashford's season that he had in the first year, and he's a great goal scorer. When we're waiting for it to happen, and like it doesn't seem like it's there. It's fizzling out.
A decision must be made on Rashford, and the manager has to be, firm in his decision. With the way we're playing, and I think you and I talked about this before, Nick, or we mentioned it at some point, I don't remember, but like building the ball, when we're building the ball up forward, like I don't think Rashford is the right one for that role. Like I hate it when he has time on the ball because he just seems so indecisive.
It's uncomfortable.
And then but on the other end, I know Ahmad didn't have the greatest first half, but every time Ahmad had the ball, there was an expectation that something was going to happen. You could tell something he was going to do something with it. So I think for me, if we don't see that sort of thing from Marcus Rashford, then I'd rather use him as some kind of sub, when we're chasing the ball. Impact sub, ball over the top, just run all you want. Like chase it and go down. But then one thing I also want us to avoid this season, and I would like the manager to do that, is this whole thing about Marcus Rashford has to play. Like I don't believe that is a given. And I think in this team you have to warrant your position. You have to warrant your start. And if we're not seeing anything productive coming from Marcus Rashford, then I think he should, maybe he needs some time on the bench. Maybe do like what like Luke Shaw, like sometimes when he's off. Yeah, so maybe he needs some time on the bench, but I don't think he needs to warrant his. And just one more thing, very quickly, is I know I've been critical about Mason Mount, and I don't think he had a bad game yesterday at all. I think he actually played well. The only issue I have is when we play in that thing, that this false 9 thing that he's doing with Mount and Bruno, there's no goal threat. There doesn't seem to be a goal threat. So don't get me wrong, Mason Mount did not play bad yesterday, and I was actually quite impressed with his performance. But I just don't see the point of carrying on with this thing if there's no real threat in it. Like
they're creators, aren't they?
Yeah.
They work hard and they're creators. They're not finishers. They're not people who are going to put the ball in the back of the net. That's
In that
not
set
they
of
are.
exactly. Yeah.
In
So
that
the wing
you
backs.
need your goal. You need your wingers to be your goal threats. And right now, Rashford doesn't look like a goal threat. And in that first half, Ahmad didn't look too comfortable being that threat either. So
Yeah.
even though they work quite well, and I can see what Ten Hag wants to work with, off the ball, the way they press, and the engine both of those players have got is absolutely amazing. But there needs to be an outlet as well, where you've got that player who can just pounce on it in the box and just go for goal. We just don't have that at the moment when you've got both Mount and Bruno playing as false nines.
Sorry, I thought you was going to continue your point there.
Yeah, I realized I was talking for too long. And yeah,
that's all right. I'm going to go to the comments though, because there is quite a few. Christopher Breen, I think United were very poor yesterday, until we have a proper goal scorer and a genuine threat from the left wing. We will continue to struggle. Yeah, I've been better. Just need to chill out. Okay, that's Sean. Xerxes should start. Once he came on at our time, we looked better. Bruno was able to free pass the ball. Xerxes goal ruled out. Lee Striker was in the box. We would have missed. It didn't really make sense of that, but yeah. Hi all. Hope everyone is good. Not good enough yesterday. We need to play better against the Scousers. We need Xerxes, Delete, and Garnacho to start. Elite Baller saying, sorry, but Bruno is not a good captain. He has no Robson, Cantona, Keane, or even Rooney or Beckham. I don't know if you're alluding to ability there or leadership, but again, Bruno.
I think he's referring to leadership. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's his own podcast, isn't it? I suppose, just talking about that. Bringing Anthony on was a waste of time. Should have never took Bruno off. Donovan Suckram says the problem is the tactics or lack of thereof. When United has the ball, the midfielders bomb forward, leaving a huge gap in the middle for teams to play through when they lose the ball. Sorry, there's quite a few. Alex saying, I miss the Rashford who used to be excited whenever he played on the pitch. Yeah, it does. It seems like it's tethered off, doesn't it? The boy who enjoyed football, he just does not seem to enjoy it at all. I know he's quite a reserved character anyway, and he's like that off camera, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's one of those players who's just in his head way too much, and he just overthinks everything.
He's carrying a lot of weight on. You can just see it, and that's why I think it's very out of all the players that we've got on the pitch, he really needs a goal. Yeah. Like genuinely, just to get his confidence up and just to get his game going a bit. He's the one who is desperate for a goal right now in the squad.
Well, Mir is saying Rashford shouldn't start the Liverpool game, lads.
He shouldn't. He shouldn't, but he will, because he plays in the big games, gets City, Liverpool, and he normally scores a goal in those games. So Ten Hag's going to play him, whether we think he should or not. He shouldn't. I wouldn't, and he shouldn't, but he will. So we're just going to have to accept it, because he will play.
Garnacho and Rashford last season had the same amount of goals in the League 7. Rashford is terrible, but Garnacho is great. Problem is there isn't really a player that challenges Rashford currently. I'd start Garnacho. I think he does more for me, Garnacho.
If anything, I would even give Mount a go at that left wing position. If I mean, at least you've got that player out there who's actually a creative playmaker, so he does offer you something that is a bit more different. And if it is just about having players who can cover a lot more ground, Mount can do just as good a job as Rashford off the ball when you look at that left wing.
Donovan Suckram said, "Who agrees? If it wasn't for De Gea, United would have finished 8th in Ten Hag's first season." A curveball that I didn't expect at all.
Why is this De Gea revisionist history still ongoing? Like, it's been 3 seasons, man. Let it go. Just let it fucking go, for God's sake, man. He's gone.
Yeah, Uarte must be fast and quickly transfer. Just quickly on Uarte. I think he's going to be a good signing for us, and you can see why they want to bring him in the profile. He ain't going to solve all the problems at United. He's not going to solve the mistakes, the defending at the back post. He's going to be a good addition. But if you think we're automatically going to start slapping teams because we brought him in,
this is what people think a single transfer is going to solve all the problems, and we're going to win leagues and titles. It doesn't work that way. You build a team, you build a system, and you have to get it going to the point where it starts working.
It just happened once when we said Bruno Fernandes, and that's it. It doesn't happen every single time.
You can't just expect Uarte to solve every single issue, because it isn't going to happen. Because as soon as he has a poor game or a game below average, people will turn it. Why have we paid this? Why have we got it? And it's the same shit every single time. So
The one difference he will make is I saw a situation around the 70th or 80th minute mark in the Brighton game yesterday where they got a turnover. There was like 4 of them running at our defence, and I'm looking at Casemiro and he's miles off it.
Yeah.
Absolutely miles off it. Nowhere. It's jogging as well. Like he might have been fucked. He might have been knackered. He might not have been able to keep up with it. One thing Uwate will do, he's got that youthfulness and energy to at least get back in and make the numbers up. So I think that's one of the reasons why they're bringing him in. But yeah, he ain't going to win your league titles. It'll be a good addition. Just quickly on Brighton, Shreyas. Welbeck strikes again. What did you make of their performance? Obviously, top of the league now, aren't they? Because of the 2 wins, I believe. Or certainly at least up there under their new manager. Are they surprised you how well they've started?
I think they've had a decent start, no doubt about it. I think against us as well. I wouldn't say they looked the better team. I think they looked really, really uncomfortable. I think they were the luckier side. I would genuinely say it, because the chances they got of set pieces as well, their players were just in the right area at the right time, especially with that in the second goal as well. I think Pedro was just in the correct area at the correct moment, and he was able to bang it home. With Welbeck's goals, I just think that that goal we completely slept off. And one thing that Brighton did well was they capitalized on the opportunities that they got. We didn't. We had very, very good opportunities. We could have actually been, within the first half itself, if we would have got, actually finished off our chances, would have been 2 or 3-0 up. Ahmad had a very decent opportunity of Dalot's cross. Dalot put in a very, well-placed cross with his left foot, wasn't able to convert them. In a couple of opportunities as well, Rashford could have been played in a very much better spot at a much better time, but we played it a bit too late and he was offside. Then Bruno and Mount as well. I just think that, we need to start clicking a lot better when we are moving the ball into the final third. Build-up wise, we look a lot more comfortable. Playing out of the press, playing under pressure, we actually look a lot better as well. Dalot and Lisandro were able to absorb pressure quite well, even when we were trying to play out from the back. Mazraoui as well was able to help out quite a bit while trying to stretch out the play. So there were elements definitely there, but Brighton were actually, able to make it, take advantage of the fact that, the moment we got frustrated, you could see Menu rushing off, you could see Casemiro rushing off as well. And then Pedro, Mitoma, and Ciso as well. They occupied all those single areas. And every single time they got the ball, they were just able to make the most of it and cause us, every single opportunity they got, they gave us issues.
Sam, Jimmy, I think that makes that Liverpool game fascinating, doesn't it? Because there's quite a bit of pressure going in there.
We've been here before, haven't we? Literally, we lost against Brighton, and then we went against Liverpool at home, and we beat them.
Yeah.
So this is bread and butter for Manchester United. Like me, and
pretty
Chivy,
much the same score as well.
Yeah, exactly. So me and Chivy have spoken about this because obviously we're a lot older than some of the people who watch this channel and some people on this channel. Chivy might be in his 70s at this point, 80s. I'm not sure, but he keeps it a mystery. But he was around. Chivy seen George Best play and Bobby Charlton and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we've been here before with United. Like we've seen so many times where United have gone, but shit, this is fucking awful. I can't believe how they, and we pull something out of the bag against the Liverpool, against the City. We saw it last year in the FA Cup final. We saw that, like, we literally played one of the worst semi-finals I've ever seen, where we almost chucked away it to Coventry, and we probably should have lost that game. But literally before that, Liverpool, one of the best games I've ever been to in my life with the Ahmad goal and stuff, and then the final, which was absolutely amazing, in a season where we finished 8th and we looked terrible and we lost against the likes of Bournemouth, Brentford, like all these terrible fucking games. We managed to pull that off. So Liverpool, you just have to get it in your head. It's like a one-off game. It doesn't really matter about form a lot of the time, United, when it comes to Liverpool. Sometimes it can be in great form and they'll smash us. Other times it can be in awful form and we beat them. So it's just, you got to isolate it from the rest of the form and the league and that different sort of stuff. And I think you've just got to go into it and go, like, what's the vibe? It's at home. Players on the pitch who know what this is about. You've got Leacher still is back. I think Xerxes got more minutes in his legs. De Ligt's got more minutes in his legs. Max Warrior looks good. There's positives to be had there. And Schlott, obviously, it's going well so far with the first game against Ipswich. They play today, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. Let's see how that goes. Maybe they get.
Who do you pick though in that game? Maguire or De Ligt to start?
I'd De Ligt. Bring on Maguire. If you 2-1 up, you bring on Maguire at the end and just shut up shop. That's what I would do. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it's whatever team Ten Hag picks, fans are going to have a problem with it and somebody else should play. But you just got to look at it as a one-off game for me. You just got to look at it as something completely separate when it comes to Liverpool.
Pretty much same, but I'm not as confident as I was against Brighton. I think we might lose this one or draw. If we win, of course, I'll be happy. But I think it's not like I don't think it's a given. It's one of those games where we'd have to take the lead early, and then draw Liverpool onto us. Because when we played them in pre-season, we dominated for like the first 20 minutes, I think, 25 minutes. We're by far the better team, and then they scored, and then it all just went to shit. But it's one of those ones where when we dominate a game, even like yesterday, we need to make it count. We need to take the lead early and then draw them onto us there, because we're so much better when we're sitting back and countering. I know we're trying to control the game, we're trying to do all this stuff, but at our core, this is what we're really good at. Like everyone who knows us, this is how we beat City in the League Cup final. This is how we beat. Yeah, that's how we beat Liverpool as well. In the FA Cup. Was it FA Cup or?
Yeah.
In the FA
Cup. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we need to do. Like take our chances early, and I think Xerxes has to start, because I don't see how this system works against defenders like Van Dijk and I almost said Van Gaal. Van Dijk. Van Dijk and Konate. I don't see this pressing thing work like this. We need to have like a pinpoint striker on there, because Xerxes actually connects, and stuff like connects with players, and so yeah, I won't be too surprised if we lose or downhurt, because I already expect us not to. Those are some of the games that you expect to lose, right, when you play these big teams. But if we win, it's a bonus. But I think we can do enough to get a draw.
Well, of course, we'll have the full preview on that probably Thursday next week. So we'll go through it with a fine-tooth comb and discuss it in full. So make sure you come and join us for that. Moving on to transfer stories, lads. I know you love a bit of transfer talk because it's been ongoing for the past 8 weeks almost. Napoli hope to reach an agreement with Manchester United for Scott McTominay after a €25 million bid has been rejected. That's from Romano. And then from Core Sport, they're saying Napoli and United are close to reach an agreement. The proposed deal is worth around €30 million. McTominay is waiting with his suitcase in Manchester. That's
one of the worst lines. One of the worst lines I've ever heard. Fuck it.
He's waiting with his suitcase in Manchester. Is he at home?
Like he's sat outside his house with a backpack on and a suitcase, and he's just there like
just waiting for the text.
Ridiculous. I know we've discussed it before in the substitution. That's a different situation. But if it is his last game, lads, thoughts on his career? Who would you replace him with? Talk to me.
I would only want us to sell McTominay if, obviously, we need to generate cash for the Owati thing. But I actually like the idea of bringing him on as an impact sub. I don't want to see him anywhere near the midfield. But if we're bringing him on, like the whole Fellaini thing, like to come on and change the game, just bring like an unpredictable sort of thing, then I'm cool with that. But if we're selling him to raise cash, fine. But if we're just selling him to sell him, then I know it's unpopular, but sorry.
I think it's pointless to keep hold of him.
Just keep hold of him. Like I'm not. I know it's a bit unpopular, but I'd keep him if we could, because he changes things. Like he's one of those wild cards that you can just bring on later on, and if he accepts this new role of doing that, then I'm cool with it. But if we can raise funds, if we need to sell him to get Owati, completely understand.
Lads, Sam, Shreyas?
I think that with McTominay, once again, like you mentioned as well, he's an outlet for 10 goals. A genuine outlet on top of that as well. He comes on as a threat in the first, dying moments of the game. He's, actually rescued us a lot of points last season as well. And I think the only point I see, in actually selling McTominay is if these funds will actually be used in, getting a left back in. If that is the sort of scenario that we are in, I would still consider this. But if he just needs to be sold, with no possible, incoming or anything else, I would genuinely keep hold of him, because as a squad player, and as a player that you can bank on him in said games, like in the league games as well, as a rotational player as well, and as someone you would want to bring on in the last 20 to 30 minutes of the game, he is a good player in that sort of an aspect. As a starting player, he doesn't have it in him to play in this sort of system. But I still think that, off the bench, with the kind of situation that we are in, I do rank him as a player who's higher on the pecking order than Christian Eriksen. I think he does bring a lot more than what Christian Eriksen brings to the table now. So if we can get a left back end, because I do think that, that is an area where we genuinely need reinforcement, because if Mazraoui or Dalot pick up a knock, we are absolutely done in those areas. So if these monies are going to be utilized, makes sense to go for this offer. If they are not going to be utilized, makes much more sense to actually keep hold of McTominay.
Do you think
he's a big game player as well? Like, if you look at the goals he scores, like he scores against City, he scores against Arsenal,
Liverpool,
like he turns up like in the big moments, and he reminds me a lot of Darren Fletcher, because when Darren Fletcher started playing for United, like a lot of us hated him, like not hated him, but it just felt like Fergie was forcing the Fletcher thing. It wasn't until later in his career that he found it, because he used to play on the right wing, Fletch, and then it wasn't much later that Fergie put him in the midfield, and then he had Michael Carrick next to him, and then he suddenly became this reliable player. Like, I remember in the Champions League, when we played Arsenal and we beat them, we went to play, I think it was Chelsea. I think he got one of those finals where we faced Barcelona. Mctominay got a yellow card, so it ruled him out of the final. And a lot of us were believing then that if he played the final, it might have been a different outcome. So he became that important to us. So did I say McTominay or Fletch?
You said McTominay in the final then.
Yeah. I meant to say Fletcher. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I just feel like McTominay is one of those kind of players that once he finds that role, once we can get that role for him where he does, this one thing, which is scoring goals, I think he can be really important. But yeah, I'm sure that's very unpopular. But
Are there any market alternatives, Sam, for McTominay? Do you think they might just go sign an Amrabat or something like that?
Well, we've seen apparently Ineos don't rate Amrabat. Apparently, I've seen reports in the Athletic and stuff. So, not sure what there's. I think again, I'm like you guys. If he's happy to accept a sub role and come on and score goals and win games, I don't have a problem with keeping him. To be honest with you, like it doesn't really bother me. Just don't play him in the midfield. Like I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna sell him to raise funds for another midfielder or a left back or something like that, okay, cool. I understand that. That's fine. Let's do that, because he is a sellable asset. Like if you look at the players we can sell, it's him and Maguire. I would say he was sellable assets you could genuinely get some decent money for. Eriksen, you're not going to get anything for, so it's essentially not going to help you that much. Rashford and Sancho, the wages are a massive issue, so you're just not going to be able to shift them. So the two sellable assets are McTominay and Maguire. It looks like Maguire's staying, as far as we can see. So yeah, if you need to raise some funds, McTominay is the one. But it wouldn't bother me if he stayed. But if it means we get a left back or another midfielder, cool, I'm down with that. Just make sure there's a valid replacement that can do similar things or other things that are also contributions to the team.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Sancho as kind of the last topic, but I'm going to go back to the comments. Jonathan Ball, personally, I don't think Bruno, Mainu, or Rashford or Martinez have particularly started the season well. I think Mainu's been quiet, but I think it's just a fitness.
He's knackered. Knackered.
He is. He is.
Same thing can be said for Bruno. I mean, Rashford's had a pre-season, so he's not got much of an excuse in terms of that. And then Martinez, I'd say the first two games, yeah, I'd probably agree. I do think he's looked a little bit off it. But like I think Sam said before, it sometimes takes 4 or 5 games for him to really get up to speed. So then we can really judge him. Punch Paint, we have a style of play. What the fuck does that even mean? Why don't you know our style of play? All the haters on TalkSport say that constantly. I know our style of play. I don't know how you don't. I don't know if that was a comment from someone else. People discussing. Nick Smile, bro. Okay. All right, there you go. You got one out of it. De Crow, line up against Liverpool will be anti-fans. What does that mean? Anti-fans? Anyone know?
No idea.
Hazard a guess?
No idea.
Sam's loyalty to Limp Bizkit is admirable.
Apparently, my sense of style has not changed since the early 2000s, apparently. So, that's
not.
Fair enough.
Hopefully, Rude can run some drills and teach these boys how to stay the fuck on side. Yeah. That'd be
Problem
nice.
is, Ruud van Nistelrooy never did any runs like this. He never ran anywhere.
Yeah.
He was literally just stayed in
But
one spot.
Yeah, but Ruud was always offside.
Oh yeah, but he never left the 6-yard box though. That's the issue. Like he just waited.
Yeah, Ruud was he was always offside, always.
They're no corn, but Limp Bizkit are fire. Do not care what anyone says.
Yeah, I agree.
Going back to the Limp Bizkit chat again.
Yeah.
McTominay costed us yesterday. His goals are usually garbage when Rasmus draws the defenders and no one picks him up. He can't pass and he doesn't show for the ball. In fact, he hides in midfield. But he doesn't play midfield anymore, does he? To be fair.
He does hide. He does hide.
Yeah. The Crow says, Sir Alex Ferguson era gone. No one remembers the past. It's now and the future. You don't celebrate history today, but grieve yesterday's defeat till the next defeat. People getting philosophical in the chat. Sorry for me, McTominay is just a British Fellaini. He's basically good at one thing, none of which is controlling and passing the ball. His myth is way bigger than his impact. A lot of McTominay slander.
I agree with most of what he said. However, his impact is undeniable last season. He got 10 goals and he saved like 3 or 4 games for us. We would have lost those games without him. So his impact, I don't think his impact's a myth because it's there, visual. You saw it.
Yeah, numbers don't lie, as you say. Comparing McTominay to Darren Fletcher is a massive insult to Fletcher. Chivy, that's from Jonathan.
Well, that's his opinion. What am I supposed to say?
Fucking hell.
I didn't compare their skills. I'm just saying like the impact that they had and how it was. But it's I don't. What am I supposed to say?
Chivy's like lack of emotion or giving a shit is one of my favorite things in the world. He's just like literally just like, I don't give a shit.
It's almost Roy Keane-esque then. It's like, well, that's his opinion. Yeah, that's his opinion. Fair enough. I mean, that's one way to come back. Grab yourself a napkin, Jonathan. You've been served.
No disrespect. No, shout out to Jonathan. Like, it wasn't like a slight or anything. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mira with a good question. Who's been the best player for us up until now? Who started the season really well, do we think?
Majari,
Dallo. Sam?
I'd say Max Rory because Dallo was not in position when we lost that goal. It was his man, the left back. It should have been there.
Joshua
Which
Owen.
Because he was quite good at that, like on the right hand side. If I remember, or am I bugging? I think a few times last season he always cleared off, like he was always present over there.
Have you seen the reaction for Wan-Bissaka's debut for West Ham? Joshua Owen's asking. Anyone seen it, lads? Online on socials?
No, they praised
calling him Cafu. All calling him Cafu. Yeah, because there was a move when Bowen scored. It was a bit of play where he got himself out of a couple of tight situations. Wan-Bissaka, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's like fucking Cafu." So it's like,
I saw that. Like he did one. There was one weird pass he did. The pass connected, but it was kind of weird. Like he looked just
It's not like fans to sort of go over the top with a signing after one game, is it?
No,
very unusual.
Yeah. All this hate against Scott's not good. Scott's a good player. Every manager we've had said Scott's a good player. So are they lying? Well, the thing is, with Tommy, it's application more that coaches appreciate rather than his actual performance on the pitch in midfield.
Follows instructions as well. Like managers love players who, if you tell them to do a job, that's what they go and do. And every manager said that's why he's played under every manager. Doesn't mean he's absolute quality. It just means he follows instructions. So.
Yeah, right. I think he's in the wrong era. He should have been like in the 90s.
Yeah.
I think.
He'd be appreciated more, I reckon, in the 90s. Right, moving on to Jadon Sancho. Juventus are in constant contact with United and Sancho's entourage to try and reach an agreement for a loan deal for the winger.
Get fucked.
Another loan. I suppose if it's a loan with an obligation, Shreyas, it's not the end of the world, is it? But if it's a loan with an option, are we just going around the house?
With a loan with an option doesn't really make sense because Juve are very smart when it comes to these sort of loan and option sort of buys, and they know workarounds as well. And they've got already at the club, they've got a couple of good options to play on that left hand side or from that right hand side as well. I think if you have to let go of Jadon Sancho now, it needs to be a straight sale or loan with an obligation because we've already got a lot of players in that winger area. I'm not going to say that, all of those options are decent, but they are options that you've got. And till the point you actually, are able to let go of some of those options, you can't really bring anyone in. You've already got Anthony, you've already got Jadon Sancho right now, you've got Garnacho, you've got Ahmad, and you've also got Marcus Rashford. So that's five fingers as it is at the club right now. If you want to bring in a new figure into that area, you have to let go of one of these guys. So if the Sancho deal is possible, which I don't really think happens, I think he's going to end up staying this season. It has to be a permanent deal, because I just don't see a benefit of actually him warming the benches and not getting any minutes whatsoever.
Well, he's not even warming the bench. He was in the
Yeah.
squad yesterday, and he weren't even a part of the bench. So it's just, I mean, Sam, it just makes sense, surely, just because the long-term effects it has. You know what the media is like. You know they're going to be asking constant questions about it, right, and taken away from what's actually going on the pitch.
Yeah.
That becomes an issue in itself, then, and manifests into something different.
Yeah, it's just he clearly doesn't want to be at United. Like he clearly doesn't want to be there. He's like, whatever the relationship is with Ten Hag, and we've been through the rights and wrongs of it before, but he clearly doesn't want to be there. Ten Hag clearly doesn't rate him because he's not selecting him or he's not doing enough in training or whatever it is. So the best for all parties is for him to go and just go play football somewhere else. The big issue is the wages. Like, Juventus are crying poverty. It's like, oh, we really want him there, but they don't want to pay the wages. They don't want to pay a fee. They don't want to do any of that shit. So it's just like, United kind of have to draw a line and be like, look, you can take him on loan, but it's got to be an obligation. It's got to be a set fee, and you got to pay his wages. You cannot be getting him on the cheap.
Yeah.
You cannot be getting him for free. We pay his wages, and then it's an option. And then next season you go, he wasn't that good. And we're just in the same boat, and he's another year. He's at United, and we have to have the same conversation over again. We need to solve this one way or the other, because it's just not good for the player. It's not good for the team. It's not good for the manager. Like, let's just get it sorted. Let's get him to a club, sell him, wage obligation to buy whatever it is. Just get it done, because it's not going to end well for anybody here.
Civir, has it surprised you, Sancho's signing? You go back to the day when we actually got him. We chased him for so long from Dortmund, paid a decent fee, 72 million. Has it surprised you the way it's gone?
Yeah, I suppose. I wasn't really the biggest Sancho fan, to be honest, like when we're chasing him and all that kind of stuff. But when we got him, like especially the season he had before he came, I thought, that was great. I think with Ronaldo coming in at the same time kind of like changed things, in my opinion. But overall, I think I would have expected a lot more from Jadon Sancho, to be fair. However, if you break it down, the first season when he came, that was like horrendous. Like everybody, like we had a terrible season. That was the only season, and then the Ragnick season, so that was horrible. The season after that was when Ten Hag came in, and he had a decent season then. Like that was decent, right? And he did have a few important input. Now, obviously, you can't leverage that with how much money we paid for him, because like any average player would have easily done that as well. But fair play to him, he did all right. Now, last season was just an abomination. Like everybody was terrible last season, and then of course what happened with him and the manager and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of just spiraled out of control, and it's gotten to the point where he doesn't want to be here, and I don't blame him if he doesn't want to be here. Like I've always sided with him with everything that's happened. And if he doesn't want to be here, like I don't blame him. Like he gets tons of abuse from fans constantly online at him. So why would he even why should he even show any sort of, if he doesn't feel appreciated where he's at, then I don't blame him for wanting to go. I just want the whole thing to be over, because the whole thing, the whole soundtrack, like it really annoys me when I see everything that's happening on Twitter and online and stuff. I just want this thing to be gone, and let's just end it, and let's just do what Chelsea did. Like, if he's not part of the manager's plans, he's not part of the manager's plans, and just cut our losses and sell him, because we keep him here and then everything happens, and then it's just the fans against him, and then he doesn't want. Yeah, it's just we need to be brutal. Sometimes I think we need to make a stand and just say, look, he's not part of our plans. He's not training with us, and that's it. And then we can just because Raheem Sterling is in a similar situation in terms of it's not the manager's plans. He's being paid a lot of money, but the manager is like, listen, you guys do what you need to do and get him away. And I think we just need to do that and just close the matter, because that Sterling thing, as bad as it sounds, it doesn't sound to me like it's toxic. At least it doesn't appear that way online. Like, everyone's just agreed with what's happened. But with the Sancho thing, oh, he's friends now with the manager. Oh, he's back in, he's playing. Oh, he's off the bench. It just breeds unnecessary attention that we don't need. So we just need to be decisive on this and agree to either cut our losses or keep him and play him. So, if he's here, he should play. If he's not, because I don't think he's not playing because he doesn't want to play. He's not playing because none of the manager's plans.
Yeah.
Because he's training like everyone else. I don't think he's not training well or none of that. He's training like everyone else, but the manager just doesn't fancy him to play.
Exactly.
So I think that's what it is. We just need to be decisive on that. And get rid.
That's your opinion. So you can have your opinion.
Well, you asked my opinion.
I know. I'm
joking.
joking.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
I know.
Andy Moore says Dalot was not in the wrong place. He was defending the original back post from a corner on the other side. The midfield went missing. Watch the goal again, please, lads. Yeah, I know there was someone did a whole piece on Casemiro stepping out because he thought he was going to win the ball and then not left a gap. I know. When I did the reaction yesterday, I was extremely emotional and annoyed that we just lost the fucking game. So excuse me for my if not concrete analysis because I was pissed off. James,
but the people, I saw that people are blaming Cass for the goal.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, just as a collective, just defend better. Just pick up your fucking man. Simple as that. Leave it at that. Jonathan saying James off the Muppets here suggested playing as Rowry on the left, where he's better than Dalot and could support Rashford more. Dalot basically played deep far too much yesterday and isolated Rashford. To be honest, these things are not exclusive for Rashford, because I get it. When you don't have a natural left-footed on the left side, it does hinder Rashford slightly and it does become isolated at times. But it doesn't make enough kind of excuses why he's not performing. It's still times where I'm looking at him like, beat your man. He had a 1v1 yesterday against, is it Van Heck or something like that, who's not the quickest.
I think.
Run at your fucking man. Run at him. Challenge him, Get a ball into the box. Get a shot off. I don't see him doing any of that. So, yeah. Oh yeah, there's cross as well from Dalot on his left foot. Well, he put him for Ahmad.
Yeah.
Yes, that was off his left foot as well.
Why did Ahmad hit it with his left foot as well? Why did he let it drop onto his right? And
I don't know. It looked like the height of it was an awkward one where you kind of got
it was awkward
a little bit to like. Yeah, it looked like a dodgy one, to be fair.
He just acted a bit too quick. He had a little bit more time on it. He could have taken it better, but he just acted a second too quick and it just went off his knee.
Yeah, I think
if that was a natural striker, like that would have been a fine header.
Hoyland did finish it. If Hoyland was there, he finished it. He finished that time.
There was the Casemiro header as well, where he's like free on goal and he put it over the bar as well. Like, I was like, that should have get that on target. That Casemiro of the first year Ten Hag, that's in the back of the net. Because he did that
I remember that one.
With the Casemiro header, I think it was just a bit too overpitched. He wanted it a bit more nearer to the post because his positioning as well, the run he was making, it was a bit diagonal. Yeah. So if it was just even 2 centimeters ahead of him, it would have ended in the back of the net.
Do you remember that after that header, he was, I don't know who sent across him, but he was telling him just put it forward.
Ahmad, I think, put that
was it Ahmad? Yeah. He was like, just put it there. But anyway.
Yeah. We have to stay positive. We have to stay together. Liverpool's the enemy, not each other. We know we can beat them. We just need the right formula. Back this manager. Back our club. I think that's probably a good place to leave it. We got it all out of our systems there and discussed every topic we possibly could. Ugarte, I'm not going to bother because at this point we're sniffing his neck with that close.
It's a dry deal.
It's a dry deal. I mean, running out of objectives.
Are people tracking flights yet? Are they doing that shit yet? Because that's normally the thing, isn't it? When they track flights to Manchester.
Yeah.
He's waiting. Yeah, if Mctominay is waiting with his suitcase, Ugarte.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, Ugarte is in the airport right now, speaking to the passport control.
He's having a pint at the bar at 5 in the airport.
Yeah.
That's what
he's doing a Peter Odemwingies at the car park now.
Yeah. So anyone who wants to know anything on the Ugarte deal, that's where he is, in the car park, probably at Carrington, waiting for the green light from Jorge Mendes, and we can get that deal done. I thought it'd be announced on Friday, to be honest with you, Friday, Saturday, but obviously I'm completely wrong and I have no idea. So I don't know what's going on. Hopefully we'll get an announcement today or tomorrow because that'll cheer me up a little bit. Just seen some news that fucking Lavia is injured again. Jesus Christ.
Injured again.
Yeah, he's out of the team again. Anyway, there is football on, kicking off in half an hour. It is Sunday, so go and enjoy the rest of your day. People on the show and people in the chat, enjoy the football, and hopefully United come back with a vengeance against Liverpool. One can only hope. I'll be live later on at 7 o'clock, so make sure you come and join me with a slightly different show. And Sam, Civir and Shreyas will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everyone.
Peace.